All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you're all doing well this evening. I'll stop my jazz music here. Sorry about that. Um, so, yeah, good evening. Welcome to week 2 of the job search work team. I should introduce myself. My name is Morgan Pellerin. I work in the Career Development Center. I'm the Assistant Director of the Career Development Center, and I'll be leading our discussion tonight on job search tools, making the most out of job search tools. But before I do that, one, just to make sure you can hear me, but two, I kind of always are just curious, like where people are during this time of kind of social distancing. So let me know kind of like where you are. We'll see who's the furthest away, and you can use the chat function to kind of go ahead and do that. So why don't we try that out and see where people are this evening. That'll also let me make sure my microphone is working so that you're actually hearing me. All right, got someone in Virginia. That might take the ticket. We'll see if that's the furthest away from Plattsburgh. Albany. Danielle is in Albany. Anyone else care to share where they are? All right. Oh, Queens. Great. Thanks, Yvonne. Yeah. I am in Peru, New York, which is just south of Plattsburgh, so not very far away. But yeah, for folks who haven't been in Plattsburgh a while, um, it's actually really nice outside today. It's about 80 degrees, really sunny. Um, so it does get nice in Plattsburgh in the summer. So just want to let you all know that. Um, Also, just curious for folks who are on this, what is your kind of, whether you've just graduated or if you're a junior or going to be a senior next year, kind of just let me know where you're at, kind of class year or alumni status wise. That'll kind of let me know kind of how to tailor the conversation this evening. If you wouldn't mind sharing that through chat, that would be great too. All right, so I got someone upper level sophomore. Thanks, Jorge. Um, So yeah, I guess with that, I'll try to tailor the conversation. Danielle, thank you. Just graduated. Congratulations. Sorry, it's not under better circumstances, but uh, we'll definitely try to help you out as far as what to do post graduation. Thanks, Elena, as well. Congratulations on just graduating. Um, so I'm gonna go back and share my screen, so we can kind of take a look at some different job search tools. And throughout, I plan to make this under an hour, probably about 45 minutes or so. And it is being recorded, so you will be able to watch it again. I'll end up putting it on the website later this week, um, on our Career Development Center website under the events. It'll be there. Um, but I'll also entertain any questions that you have as I'm going through things tonight. So feel free to kind of chime in as we go through. If you have any questions, I'll be monitoring chat as I'm getting the our conversation set up, uh, the PowerPoint set up. Just let me know kind of any job search tools you've used before. So that'll kind of be helpful too, because I may talk about some that you've used, but I may end up talking about some you haven't used. So just let me know which job search tools you have used, and then I'll take that into consideration as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right, got that. Okay, so let's jump into job searching. So here's some kind of outcomes to consider. And please bear with me. Some of this I pulled from a different PowerPoint for a different purpose. So some of this I won't cover everything. But first would be items to consider when searching for an internship or job. Um, Utilizing job and internship like boards, researching organizations, kind of by location and industry. I'm not going to go as much into this evening, utilizing networking in your search. Oh, go back to that. Mostly because next week I will be leading a discussion on networking specifically and using LinkedIn. So it's kind of a teaser for next week. Normally, kind of in the discussion we would have about job searching, we talk about utilizing networking as well. But for the purpose of this, we've kind of separated that out to have its own evening. And if you weren't here last week, last week we talked about the importance of resumes and cover letters. So, that's something you definitely want to have kind of set and looking good, kind of probably before you even start using these job search boards that I'm going to share with you tonight. Mostly because as soon as you start hitting those job search boards, you're going to want to have your resume ready because you're going to need to upload that to apply to the job. So here's some items to kind of consider when you're starting your job search. So I want to get back. I want to make sure I don't have any chat questions before I do that. So yeah, I guess some things to kind of keep in mind when you are searching for a job, and you could kind of use internship interchangeably here. I know some of you are still in school. So one would be geography. Where do you want to have a job? For some of you, that might help narrow it down because I know I want to be close to family, or I know I want to be in this certain city. So that can be one of the narrowing factors you use. It doesn't have to be, but it can certainly be helpful. Mostly because uh, if you put in like a job title of something you're interested in and you let it search the whole US, you might end up being kind of overwhelmed just by the amount of volume of things you're seeing. So sometimes narrowing it down to a certain geographic location is helpful, or maybe a couple. Like maybe you don't have to just say I'm only going to look in this one city, but you could look in a couple cities, and that might make it help a little less overwhelming to look over as well. And I guess being realistic with that, like, am I willing to move really far away or not? Some of you may be, some of you may not. You know yourself best. So I think kind of asking yourself those questions. When you plan to start, I'm assuming for most of you who just graduated, you're probably like, I want to start now, or really soon. So, I guess the reason I kind of have that bullet on there is more just to be realistic. You know, it's pretty unlikely that you would start your job search today and have a job by the end of the week. It is a process. Some companies are faster than others, but we do say, we have kind of research to back this up through some organizations that we're a part of. But on average, the average job search for a new college graduate takes about 6 months. So I don't say that to scare you. I say that more so you, one, kind of stay hungry, and two, so you don't get down on yourself when a month in things aren't maybe happening. So I think kind of being realistic with that, and then you add into that the kind of COVID situation that we're in right now. That being honest, that's probably going to make things more difficult for certain industries. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. And one of the reasons I bring it up is, again, just so you're not so hard on yourself as you go through this job search process. Just being realistic. And I kind of have this ideal. You may or may not be in that ideal situation. And don't worry about it if you're not. I would say it's good just to start. And in order to get that job, you have to start somewhere. So we'll kind of focus on starting. And then another thing to kind of focus on is finances. And I guess what I mean by that is, I think this link is going to take me to what I'm hoping. Yeah. Is looking at cost of living. This kind of goes back to geographic location a bit too. So this is this is something that is actually available on our website, but I'll kind of highlight that now. It's just bankgreat.com/calculators/savings/moving cost of living calculator .aspx. The reason, which I don't, there we go. The reason this can be helpful is like, let's say right now, I know someone said they're living in Albany, New York. Make sure you click the New York one. So let's say you're living there now and you want to move to, I'm going to be fun, Los Angeles, California. And you're wondering, okay, let's say I found a, in Albany, I know I would want to make, I don't know, let's say, I think 42,000 last year was about the average salary for our graduating class for their job. We do a survey on the graduating class. Part of that is salary information. So it was about 42,000, I think, last year. If we refresh that, if you wanted to move to LA to have roughly the same standard of living you would have in Albany, you'd want to try to have a job roughly in the ballpark of 52,000. The reason this is helpful is kind of, you might not be aware of kind of cost of living in different areas. So this calculator by Bankrate kind of shows kind of the differences between the two areas. It kind of breaks it down into different things, lifestyle, a bunch of different things. So it could be kind of helpful. You can get, once you kind of have a job offer, there's some information we have where you can dial in a lot more and kind of figure out things even deeper. But this is kind of just a good first thing to kind of look at, maybe as you're honing in on your areas of interest that you want to be in. So now we'll kind of go into talking about job boards. It looks like a couple of you shared you had used Indeed before. That's a pretty common one. There's several options out there, and they all operate pretty similarly. And I, are some better than others? For certain fields, probably. But they all operate very similarly. There's going to be a field that, and I'll pull up one in a second, but there's going to be a field that asks, what is the thing you want to search for? Like, what's the job title or the keywords, and where do you want to be? That's pretty much how they all operate. The tough thing for you all to kind of think about is like, what are those keywords I want to put in? So, particularly if your major is one of those ones where it's kind of broad, where, you could go into a number of different fields, like psychology comes into mind for me with that. It's a matter of like putting your major in the keyword is probably not going to be helpful in that situation. It's more, what are the job titles I'm interested in? And that might have to be even playing around on a job board to even figure that out, to kind of see that. So one I'll share with you that you all have access to is Handshake. Whether you know it or not, you all actually have a Handshake account. If you log into My Plattsburgh, one of the icons on the top is the Handshake icon. It looks just like this here. If you click on that, it'll bring you to Handshake. Now, when I first log in here, it's going to be the admin view. Yours won't look like this. I'm going to log in as a student here. And while I'm doing that, does anyone please share like any kind of job title or anything that you're interested in, or a location you're interested in? I'll kind of use that for demonstration as I go through this. But as far as how Handshake works, you can use this for a few things. If you've never logged in before, if I click on events, it'll show that our upcoming events. Now, some of these are Plattsburgh events, like you'll see our boot camps going on throughout the summer. But some of these are also events by companies who are mostly right now, they're doing all virtual events. But it's a great way to learn more about a company. And more, they kind of come each week. So I would kind of check back if you were interested in any of these. But right now I'm going to focus on the jobs angle. So right now, it'll kind of, if you were to go into your own profile and log in, it's going to kind of come up with keywords and job titles that are associated with your major. So that's something to certainly look into. You'll probably, like right here, I think based on the majors my test student has, it's coming up with these. But if you had, if you were a biology major, it would have keywords related to that. So you can click on these to get started. So let's see, I'll just click on one of these for an example. So let's say I wanted to work in software and I wanted to filter it to a full-time job. It found 138. And then you could narrow it further if you wanted to by putting in an area or a zip code. And all these operate pretty similarly. Like you're going to click on one and it's going to have kind of information about what they're looking for. And then a click here to apply, and then it would bring you to the page to apply. I'm not going to apply right now. The reason I brought up Handshake as the first tool to use is because employers have connected with us on Handshake and said, hey, we like your students. We want this job to be in front of them. And we kind of have established a relationship with these employers. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend Handshake. The other is we, as a career development center, try to filter the jobs in Handshake. One, so we know they're legitimate, and two, so there are more entry-level positions. So what you won't see in Handshake is a job that's requiring 5 or more years of experience. You're going to see jobs that are more entry-level in nature, which are probably what most of you are going to be looking for. And on regular job boards, as you'll see in a second, you're going to certainly get more results on a regular job board, but they're less filtered, and that can get frustrating. So that's one of the reasons I would recommend checking out Handshake. Certainly not the only thing to use, but certainly one of the things to use. And actually, if you upload, like one of the things here, you can upload documents, and we'll review your documents. Our office will review your documents and give you feedback. So if you upload something, eyes are going to get on it and it'll be reviewed. So it's another advantage to using Handshake. So with that, I'll move away from Handshake and go to another couple common ones. I'll go to Glassdoor. That's one of my favorite ones. I'll explain why. So Glassdoor operates very similarly to Indeed, and actually Indeed's tried to catch up to it, I think, in the recent years. But one of the things I like about Glassdoor, and Indeed has started to do this, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not at the same level yet as Glassdoor, is that they have basically like people who work at these companies, they can put in feedback of like what it's like to work there. You can read interview information, you can read salary information, so you can get really informed about what it is that you want to do. So Danielle, thanks for sharing that you are interested in an event coordinator position. So I'm going to try that out, event coordinator. And then let's see, I'm trying to think of a fun place for right now. I know I saw Virginia earlier. Jorge's in Virginia. I'll try Virginia Beach just for fun. Click search. So here what it's doing on this side is it's showing you there's 52 jobs related to event coordinator in the greater Virginia Beach area. And with this, you could click on one of them and see, like, you know, a couple things. One, you could certainly see events that are related to what you're interested in. So, you know, or not events, positions. So, certainly you could see that, and it's going to have information about the job and how to apply. Click now to apply. It'll do one of two things. It'll either, I think in this case, it's bringing us to that company's website. Other times it might bring you to, you could apply right through Glassdoor. But other things to do to kind of use that, I talked earlier about the importance of keywords. So let's say you typed in event coordinator, but now we're seeing maybe some other things that are similar or related, like marketing coordinator, event manager, again. So what you could kind of do with those keywords is like, okay, maybe read this position about event manager. Is that similar? Or is that something that you're still kind of interested in? And if it is, then take that keyword and search for that. So that's how you can kind of use the keywords that you have in your head, which may be somewhat limiting, and then kind of, you know, use those skills you've developed, search for the new things that come up in your search, and then you can expand that out. So that's one way to expand the search, is kind of using the keywords you find and the results you get to find new things. And it can kind of be a fulfilling thing. Like it'll, you'll find new things in the new search that you do. Um, so that's one recommendation. I think that's really powerful in using job boards, is kind of just being mindful of your keywords, because in a lot of ways, when I'm working one-on-one with students, I'll talk about how a job board is basically a window into the job market. You're just trying to see like this one little spot, because if you don't put any keywords in, it's too overwhelming. You're not going to see. You probably never see what you want. But if you get too limited, then you might miss things. So that's why it's important to kind of be mindful of the keywords you're using, try out different ones, to hopefully find the jobs that you're interested in. Maybe give me kind of a thumbs up if that's jiving with you, if that makes sense. Because I think that's probably one of the most powerful things about using a job board, is just being mindful of those keywords. Yeah, cool. Thank you. So with that, let's see other cool things in Glassdoor. So let's say Ontario Convention Center. So let's say you applied to this job and you wanted to learn more. One of the things I like about Glassdoor is that you can also, like, okay, I've never heard of the Ontario Convention Center. I could read about the company. I could see its rating. I could see salary information. So you can kind of see like what people have put in for information. I could read benefit information. And then this is a little less common, but if I put, let's see, we'll try it. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I don't know why it's not an option here. That would be feedback I'd give to Glassdoor. But if I change from jobs and I click interviews, it is now going to show me, which there's not here, but like, let's just pretend. I know if I do Google, we're going to get a lot. Probably not in Virginia Beach, but there's in Norfolk. You could change this out and just make it anywhere too. So if you want to learn about interviews at a certain company, particularly larger companies, you could see, here are 7,000 interviews people had with Google, and here's like what their experience was like. So that's a way to get insider knowledge as you're getting ready for an interview. It would be something I would encourage you to do. Certainly, you don't necessarily have to do it at the time of applying to a job, but if you hear back and they offer you an interview, this would be a time where I would go and do some research on Glassdoor and see if there's anything out there. Does it mean this is exactly what your interview is going to be like? No, but it can at least give you a sense of the culture of their interview, and maybe you find threads that are common between all the people you're reading, and that gives you something to be prepared for. So that's something else I like about Glassdoor too. So with that, let's see, I'll go back to the presentation. Some other ones I'll point out, I'm not going to go in depth with them as I did with Glassdoor, because as I shared, like, they all operate pretty similarly, but some other ones to check out. Indeed is a good resource. Idealist is one if you're interested in like maybe more not-for-profit organizations, or kind of like organizations that are about a certain cause. Idealist would be one I would check out if that was of interest to you. And then I also want to show you on our website, but you can access this on our career tools page. I'll show you exactly how to get there in a second. But we have these folders kind of by like loose academic schools. So if you were interested in like business and economics, for example, these are all like different job boards for the different fields within the business school. And we kind of have them kind of back at that larger folder. It's by all of our schools. So like we were talking about event coordinator before. These are job boards that are more specific to a certain industry, and we have the resource available through our website. You can access this. So let me open something new here really quick so I can show you how to get there. So I'll start with a reference you're probably all familiar with, just the Plattsburgh website. It's about 3 clicks to get to where we were, maybe 4. Under Platts Life, Career Development Center, 1 click. And if you're wondering why I keep looking to my side, I have two screens. So that's why. And if I go under job postings and career tools, two clicks. And under career tools, or is it up here? Targeted job websites. Go to target job websites. And then I'll bring you to that same page we were at before. So again, that I wanted you to see how you could access that. And this would be something else I would recommend checking out too, because they're kind of specific by industry you might be interested in. And we vet them each year. All the links should be active and still working. So this is actually the time of year we go through and check those all out again. So I want to let you know about that. Any questions people have, feel free to chat them in. So another tool, another strategy for your job search we talked about earlier is searching by geographic location. So I'm going to show you a couple resources that can help with that. One is something you actually all have access to, what you may have never used before, is something called Career Shift. So if I click on Career Shift, this is a resource that the college pays for. Again, I'll go back to our campus page. It's also right here under job postings, Career Shift. And then the first time you go in, you have to click sign up now. Just use your Plattsburgh email and it's free for you. I'm just going to use my email here because I already have an account. Think about my password. Hopefully that works. All right. So Career Shift is kind of like a hybrid between a job board and like a resource to find jobs by a location too. So you can actually search companies in Career Shift, and that's kind of like, I'm going to shift to that strategy a little bit next. Of one thing is to look for active jobs that are on like job boards. Another strategy is to go to company websites and see if they have a job like posting site, and maybe you'll find things there that are not on Indeed or not on Glassdoor. And this is kind of a hybrid between the two. You could just click on the companies, do a search. I'll put in Albany, New York, and you could say find all the marketing firms in the greater Albany area, and it's going to show you companies that do something related to marketing. And I could narrow that search radius. Let's see. There's still a lot, and I could go by industry to narrow things down too. So found 216 companies in the Albany area that do something related to marketing. So you could, I'm going to do this a little bit in the next segment I talk about. You could go on the company website and search things. But you can also go to in Career Shift, you can also go to the jobs area, click search, do the same thing. So I'm going to click on Danielle again, event coordinator. This time I'll look right in Albany. And we'll do 50 miles, I guess, and click search. So it found 28 positions that have something related to either probably event or coordinator. Might be, I'm not sure if we're going to see exactly what you're looking for, but you actually see where it's pulling things from too. So some things it's pulling right from Indeed, like here, but some things it's pulling from a company website, like here. So here's one, event manager. It talks about what they're doing, what the pay is. So again, kind of just a quick overview of kind of how Career Shift can be helpful for you. So I definitely recommend, I would say probably going, this would be my recommendation, start in Handshake and then probably go to Career Shift. Those are like the two probably most powerful tools at your disposal. And I would probably recommend those be the first two that you use. Some other tools though. So this is where you kind of get more like trying to find what's in your area. So if This is particularly helpful if you know, like, I want to be in this area and I don't really want to move. Or maybe you really want to move somewhere, but you know that the one location is like the only place you want to go. Um, Two other strategies that are helpful. One would be Google Maps, which I know, right? Like we all use it for random things all the time. But you can actually search Google Maps. And I'm going to pick on marketing again, I guess. Just kind of what's in my head today. Marketing firms near Albany, New York. And ta-da! It's quick, it's easy. Spatially, you can see where things are. You can look at a website, and then it kind of gets into that next thing. So this is, I know I'm talking fast, so I apologize. So kind of step one, I would say, is using a job board. That's probably what I would say in some ways like the easiest strategy. Doesn't mean it's the best, but it's the easiest in the sense of you go to Handshake or you go to Career Shift, you search for things. And then once you feel like you've done that a lot, and maybe you're not hearing a lot back, that's when I would shift gears and going like on company websites. It's more time intensive, but you might find things you weren't finding before. So what I'm going to do now is click on one of these. I'm going to go to a website. And now what I'm looking for is any kind of careers or jobs page. Some, if an agency is like small, they might not have that on there. But if it's like a regular size or larger agency, sorry, should have brought some water in here, but I didn't. Then there may be opportunities to see like if they have a job posting. So work would probably be like their work, their story, services, chat with us. I'm going to scroll down. No scrolling. Oh, there is scrolling. I have found marketing pages to be really interesting to navigate. Here, so I found it. You got to search for it usually. It's usually not very big because keep in mind the website is usually intended more for the service the company provides or the product, not for you finding a job. So I'm going to click on careers, and then I'm going to see what maybe I clicked on the wrong thing. I don't know. That's definitely not a careers page. That's interesting. I might have clicked on our shop. Let's see. Oh, and I think that actually opened an email. So that happens sometimes. You can't see that. It went on my second screen. I think it was to email the company to inquire about jobs. So that's sometimes what happens. Other times it's going to be like a job, a listing of jobs that they have and opportunities that you can check out. So that's kind of like another strategy. I got a lot of tabs open. So another thing I want to go back to is kind of the third thing for as far as when you narrow down by a geographic location. Another resource that I think is often overlooked but can be really helpful for you is the Chamber of Commerce. So some of you may have never heard of a Chamber of Commerce, but what they are basically is as a business would possibly like to join a Chamber of Commerce because the chamber kind of advocates on their behalf in the region to attract new business, to try to promote the services or the products that the businesses that are members of the chamber provide. Why that's useful for you is because they often have a directory of businesses, and it's oftentimes already sorted by industry. So I'm going to click on an example here. This is the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce. So if you Google like Chamber of Commerce near whatever city you're in or wherever you want to be, you're probably going to find one. We have one even in Plattsburgh, and I know you've all been to Plattsburgh. And I know it's kind of small. So if Plattsburgh has one, most places are going to have one. So what you can do here is, let's see, I got to remember where it is. Oh, it's up here, business directory. So that's kind of what you want to find. I know you all might not be in the capital region, depending on where you are. When you get to that page, look for something that says business directory or something like that. Click on the business directory, and then you'll see what I mean here. It's already organized for you. It did all the work for you. You know, you want to work in, let's see, like finance. Okay, you know, you could click on one of these, and it's going to show you businesses that do that. You want to work as an accountant. Okay, let's click on accounting, and then it's going to show you these are all accounting firms in the Capital District that are members of the chamber. And then each one of these is going to go to their website. And then when you're on the website, you can do the same thing. Kind of look to see if they have anything about job openings. If you don't see anything about job openings, but you read about the company and you're interested, contact them. Reach out either through phone or email and just inquire. The worst you're going to hear is no. And you're in the same situation you were when you started. But sometimes businesses are, you know, when they see someone that eager, reaching out and asking, um, it shows that you're motivated. And you know, even if it doesn't turn into a job offer right away, um, they might have a conversation with you about starting a career in the field you want to go into. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that next week when we go into networking and how that can be really helpful. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. It doesn't hurt, because the worst you're going to hear is no. And that's okay. So again, I think chambers of commerce websites can be really helpful because they organize things for you, and it does a lot of the work for you. So take advantage of that. I'm not going to go so much into this right now because we're going to get more into that next week. But that's always something to kind of be mindful of, especially in your job search, is utilizing the network you have developed. And it's also why it's important to network, because it can be really helpful when you're job searching to have a network of people. So we'll talk more about that next week. A little teaser. I'd encourage you to come learn more about that next week. And then developing a targeted list of employers. So kind of step one, when we were talking about job boards, that's kind of almost just like seeing what's out there. But step two, when I was talking about identifying things by location, seeing what employers are there, what that'll allow you to do is developing a targeted list of employers. Developing a list of employers you would be interested in working for. And what I would encourage you to do is get on their websites, bookmark their page when you find like the careers page. And that's something you check often. Because what you want to have happen is, let's say that a dream company for you has a job. You want to be the first person who sees it. You want to be one of the first people who applies. Because even though sometimes the company might say, oh, we'll consider people out until this date, never wait till that time. If you see it, apply right away, because they find the right person, they'll close that job posting as quick as they can. So that's something else to kind of keep in mind. Now, I did this for a class earlier, I'm not going to have, you don't have to do these things, but these are, I guess, recommended things. Would be, next week I'm going to talk about kind of conducting an informational interview. It's really like just basically networking, and talking about how it's important to maybe try to do that with someone who works at the company you want to work at, because it can be helpful to get to know the culture of the company. I also often get asked, like, how many companies should I add to my list of employers? I'd say, like, at minimum, you probably want to have about 15, but certainly you can have more than that. Now, when it comes to applying for jobs, I often get asked, how many jobs should I apply for? I don't think there's a hard set number, honestly. I would say err on the side of quality applications versus quantity of applications. What I mean by that is, it's not going to help you at all if you go apply to 100 jobs, but you put in crappy resumes and cover letters, because you're not going to get an interview out of that. Instead, what you want to do is pay attention to detail. Try to tailor that resume and that cover letter to the specific job posting. We talked a lot about that last week. So I'd rather have you apply to 30 jobs where you spent more time and took your time and tried to really tailor those documents to the job posting than just kind of quickly applying to a bunch. So again, you still want to apply to a lot, but try to take your time and do a good job in those applications. Pay attention to the details. because that could be what those little details at the beginning can be what make or break you getting an interview. Let's see. So again, kind of reiterating some of what we talked about last week and what I just shared. Um, just developing a strong resume and cover letter are critical. So if you're unsure about your resume or cover letter, I would encourage you to make an appointment with us. We are still doing virtual appointments over the summer. And actually, I'll escape out of here for a second. I'll show you quickly how easy it is. Go back up. So, sorry. There's a little control for the um, Zoom meeting that hovers right over my tabs, and it's hard to get to sometimes. So I just want to show you this really quick. So if I go to the Career Center page, top right, bottom right, I guess, make an appointment, and then you'll see our counselors. You can click to schedule an appointment, and there you go. Like, we're there. It's pretty easy. All you gotta do is click one of these times, and then fill out the information about what you're wanting to talk about. And that's, you don't have to meet with me, you can meet with any of us. So I would encourage you to do that if you feel like you could benefit from that. So okay, so yeah, again, resume, cover letter, really important to the application process. Yeah, we talked about cover letters too. So we kind of have I don't know if you're going to go to all these. So while I have you here, I'll kind of just quickly go over accepting an offer. We do a whole session on this. I think it's in 3 weeks on like salary negotiation, benefits, accepting job offers. But just really quick, I guess should be clear kind of when you'd be starting. You don't want to do anything that's 100% commission based. Some commission's okay, particularly in sales, but anything that's 100% commission, I would kind of shy away from. Just generally, anything that seems too good to be true probably is. So if they're like, hey, we looked at your resume, we want to pay you before you even start working, give us your bank information, we'll wire you a check. No, don't do that. That's fishy. So anything that seems too good to be true probably is. You can always reach out to us if you're unsure about something. Organization should offer you some kind of orientation. It should be clear who your supervisor is. And you should have a clear understanding of kind of what you'd be doing, what you'd be responsible for kind of before you accept the job offer. That's kind of self-explanatory, but just having a clear idea of what you're signing up for. So with that, I ran through things pretty quickly. I did keep to my time. I said 45 minutes, and it's 5:44, so I feel pretty good about that. But I will hang out. If any of you have any questions, I'm happy to talk. So just kind of know that you can turn on your video if you have questions too. We can just chat. What I'll leave you with is kind of some information about our upcoming events. So you can register for these on Handshake, but if you go under our special events on our website, so today was the job search tools. Next week is networking in LinkedIn. There's actually a SUNY-wide virtual career fair on June 17th. So if you click here, you can register for it. It's free. It's going from 10 to 4 on that day. I would definitely encourage you to do that if you're in job search mode. On the 22nd, we're doing a session on interviewing. And then on the 29th, we're doing a session on salary, benefits, and negotiation. Then if you want more, in July, we're kind of repeating it all over again. So July into August, we'll be repeating it all over. And you can always check out our previous events we did in the spring. We did recordings of them. So definitely check those out too. But with that, I want to thank you for spending some time with me this evening. I would encourage you to, if you have any questions, I'll be here. But if not, I would encourage you to plan to attend next week. Thank you, and have a great evening.